Hello friends, today we are going to take a look at a form that North Carolina licensees are required to use for all sales transactions, including residential and commercial, and it's the Working with Real Estate Agents form, the Seller's Edition. The overall purpose of this form is to serve as an introductory disclosure to the general public about their options as it relates to agency relationships in North Carolina real estate transactions where potential representation is involved with a licensee. It is not a contract. Potential clients are not required to sign it, but licensees are required to present it and review the content of it with potential clients at first substantial contact with that potential client. For the licensee, this form should not be something that they fear presenting to someone. Rather, it should be viewed as an opportunity to build trust with a potential client and to empower that potential client to be educated about their options for agency representation in North Carolina real estate transactions. Agents must check all sections of the form that may apply to the potential seller. So let's look at each section. The first one, seller agency or listing agent, explains to a potential seller that in order for a firm, and by extension a licensee, to list the seller's property for sale, the parties must sign a mutually agreed upon listing agreement. This would be an example of a single agency relationship where the firm and licensee would only represent the interest of the seller in a fiduciary capacity. The second section, dual agency. If the firm offers dual agency as a representation option, the seller should be aware that if they authorize the firm to also represent a buyer in their transaction, that the fiduciary duties to each party would be reduced. In essence, the firm would be required to be neutral in their representation of both the buyer and the seller, and simply facilitate the logistics of the transaction without being in an advisory capacity for either side. Third section, designated dual agency. This is still dual agency. In other words, the buyer and the seller would be both represented by the same firm, but with designated dual agency, each party has a designated agent specifically assigned to represent their individual interest in the transaction. To state it another way, it would be as if the two agents worked at two different firms for that specific transaction. The last section is buyer agent working with an unrepresented seller. In other words, a for sale by owner situation. If this box is checked, then the agent is working solely for the interest of the buyer, not the seller. At the bottom of the form, the seller can sign acknowledging they received the form. Again, it is not a contract, but the licensee should also fill out the relevant data so that the potential seller can maintain a copy of the conversation for their records, and licensees and potential clients alike should not be afraid of this form. It's a great introduction to agency option in North Carolina real estate transactions and a helpful icebreaker for clients to build trust with their potential clients. So friends, until next time, all the best and happy selling.